Have you ever found yourself overwhelmed, exhausted, and wondering how you got so far off track from the life you imagined? It's subtle at first. You wake up and respond to emails, put out fires, attend meetings, go to work, clean up, cook dinner, try to be present, try to smile, try not to yell, try to hold it all together. You're doing so much, and yet you're not moving. Not really. You're managing your life, but not leading it. The truth is, we get stuck not because we're lazy and not because we don't care. We get stuck because we don't have a clear vision. We haven't taken the time to step back, breathe deep, and ask ourselves the uncomfortable but honest question, what do I really want? Now I know that question can feel selfish. It can feel indulgent or scary, especially if you've spent your life pleasing others or surviving in chaos. But clarity is not a luxury, it's oxygen. It's how we move from existing to becoming. When you don't have a vision, you start to settle. You make peace with pain. You normalize being numb. You lose the hunger for more, not because you don't have it, but because you don't know what more even looks like anymore. A clear vision isn't about writing the perfect 5-year plan or having it all figured out. It's about tuning in. It's about asking yourself, what lights me up? What matters to me when no one's watching? And if I could whisper one dream to my younger self without it staying stuck, became louder than the fear of moving forward. That's the shift. That's the beginning. Success doesn't just happen. It's chosen. And you can't choose it until you see it. Set the vision or stay stuck. It's up to you. Have you ever found yourself asking, why am I doing all of this? You check the boxes, you go through the motions, you meet expectations, but something deep inside you whispers that you're meant for more, and that whisper doesn't go away. Not because you're ungrateful, not because you're dramatic, but because you're human. You were never meant to live a life that feels disconnected from your purpose. You were meant to create, contribute, connect, and most importantly, to live intentionally. But here's the truth. You can't live with purpose if you don't have vision. Vision isn't about having a perfect plan. It's not a Pinterest board or a polished Instagram feed. Vision is the internal compass that guides your steps even when the path ahead is unclear. It's the why behind your what. It's the light in your chest that glows when you're in alignment with what you were put on this earth to do. And without it, we don't act with purpose, we react out of pressure. Purpose-driven action doesn't start with hustle. It doesn't start with strategy. It starts with vision. It starts with seeing a life beyond the noise, beyond the paycheck, the applause, the titles, and asking yourself, what would I be doing if I stopped playing small? What would I create if I stopped asking for permission? When you have vision, your actions shift. You're no longer doing things just to keep up. You're doing things that keep you alive inside. You stop saying yes to things that drain you. You stop shrinking yourself to fit into spaces that were never designed to hold your full self. And instead of chasing validation, you start chasing alignment. But here's what most people get wrong. They think they need to feel confident to act. They wait to feel ready. They wait until they're still in the room. Because purpose speaks louder. Vision creates direction. Direction creates momentum. And momentum is what separates those who dream from those who do. Vision gets you out of bed when motivation fails. It keeps you moving through the discomfort of growth. It helps you say, I don't know exactly where this will lead, but I know I can't stay where I am, and that's enough to begin. When you start taking action from a place of vision, the world begins to respond differently, not because it's easy, but because you're different. You show up with conviction. You bring energy that's rooted in intention. You stop chasing opportunities and start attracting alignment. Vision anchors you. On the days you feel overwhelmed, you come back to it. On the days you want to quit, you remember why you start. On the days when nobody understands what you're doing or why you're walking away from what makes sense, your vision keeps you grounded. And let's be honest, vision is uncomfortable. It stretches you. It pulls you into places where you have to let go of certainty. It forces you to break up with convenience. But the discomfort is a sign that you're growing into someone new, and purpose-driven action is the bridge between where you are and who you're becoming. If you've been feeling stuck, lost, or burnt out, I want you to stop asking what's next and start asking what matters. Don't chase productivity. Don't chase perfection. Chase vision. Chase meaning. Chase the thing that makes you come alive even if it scares you. Your vision doesn't have to be loud. It doesn't have to impress anyone, but it does have to be yours. No one can build your life for you. No one can hand you purpose. You have to define it, claim it, honor it every day, because the people who live with purpose aren't lucky. They've decided that alignment matters more than approval. They've stopped reacting and started leading. And the moment you make that decision too, everything changes. So don't wait until it makes sense to everyone else. Don't wait until you feel ready. Start with a vision. Let it guide your steps. Let it shape your life. Because vision is where purpose begins, and action is where purpose comes to life. We live in a world that glorifies movement, fast-paced, multitasking, constant updates, notifications, hustle. It's noisy, so noisy that it's easy to mistake busyness for progress. But let's get real, not everything that keeps you moving is taking you forward. And this is where clarity becomes your power. Clarity silences distractions. When you're unclear about who you are, what you want, or where you're going, everything will look like an opportunity or a threat. You'll say yes to things that drain you. You'll chase validation instead of alignment. You'll find yourself in places, relationships, jobs, and routines that look right from the outside, but feel completely wrong on the inside. Distractions are sneaky. They don't always come wrapped in chaos. Sometimes they come wrapped in comfort, in routine, but clarity cuts through that. It becomes your filter. It's the voice that says, this isn't for me. It's the anchor that keeps you from drifting into a life that doesn't reflect your truth. The clearer you are, the less you tolerate noise. You stop watering dead plants. You stop showing up for things that don't feed your soul. And that kind of intentional living, that requires courage. Clarity isn't soft. It's not passive. It's bold. Because when you know what you want, you start making choices that scare people, including yourself. You walk away from the familiar. You risk being misunderstood. You risk standing alone. But the courage to do that comes from knowing what you're walking toward. Without clarity is loud, because clarity has made your why louder. That's the shift. Courage doesn't mean, and that something is clarity. The knowing in your bones that this is the direction, this is the calling, this is the next right step. So if you're feeling overwhelmed, pulled in 100 directions, stuck in the swirl of comparison or self-doubt, pause, breathe, get clear. What do you want? What matters most? What's yours to carry and what's just noise? Because when you get clear, the distractions fall away, and what's left is purpose, power, and the quiet courage to become everything you were meant to be. There comes a moment in every person's life when they pause, look around, and ask themselves, is this really mine? The job, the routine, the identity, the dreams. Is this what I chose or what I was told to choose? That's the power and the discomfort of vision challenges inherited expectations. It asks you to stop performing for a script you didn't write. It invites you to get radically honest about what's actually yours and what you've been carrying out of obligation, survival, or be successful. Don't take risks. Make us proud. Stay safe. Follow the rules. These stories shape us. They form invisible boundaries around our choices. They tell us who we're supposed to be before we've had a chance to discover who we really are. But then one day, vision entered. Quiet at first, just a whisper in the soul, a longing, a wild idea, a sense that maybe, just maybe, there's more for you than this predictable, inherited path. And that whisper, that's not rebellion, that's awakening. Vision doesn't disrespect your past. It honors it by refusing to let it define your future. When you begin to imagine a life that reflects your values, your passions, your gifts, not the ones you were told to have, you start to realize just how many decisions were made from someone else's whispers. Are you sure you can handle this? And doubt joins in, echoing, what if you fail? We've all heard those voices. They are persistent, familiar, and loud, especially when you're on the verge of growth. But here's what most people never learn. Still shows up, but it doesn't get to lead. You don't pretend it's not there, and you don't wait for it to disappear. You acknowledge it, then move forward anyway. Why? Because you know what's at stake if you stay stuck. Fear will always offer you the easy way out, the safe route, the familiar pattern, the version of yourself that keeps everyone else comfortable. But vision challenges you to keep walking. It dares you to trust what's possible more than what's probable. It reminds you that purpose was never supposed to feel easy. It's supposed to feel worth it. Think about it. The moment your vision becomes non-negotiable, your shrinks, it's that you become more committed to the future you're building than the comfort you're leaving behind. You stop letting your doubt dictate your destiny. The people who make a real impact in the world aren't the ones who felt no that tried to stop them. They kept showing up, kept trying, kept failing forward. They weren't to go away before you take the next step. You'll be waiting your whole life. Fear isn't your cue to stop, it's your cue to lean in, to reconnect with your vision, to remember why you started and what you're fighting for. Your vision doesn't need to be perfect, it just needs to be powerful enough to pull you through the moments of doubt. It needs to be yours, not someone else's version of success, but a future that speaks to your soul. So the next time has no choice but to follow, not lead. And that's when everything begins to change. We live in a world obsessed with outcomes, the titles, the trophies, the likes, the numbers. We're taught to measure success by what we achieve, not by who we become in the process. But what if that's backward? What if vision wasn't just about reaching a goal, but about becoming the person bold, brave enough, and true enough to pursue it? Vision isn't about the outcome. It's about the journey. It's about the transformation. It's about shedding who you were told to be so you can become who you were always meant to be. Because if we're honest, we've all been chasing things that looked good on paper but left us feeling empty on the inside. We've followed other people's dreams, carried other people's expectations, lived lives that made sense to the world but didn't make peace in our souls. And then something happens. We start to feel the tension, that quiet inner pull, the whisper that says, this isn't it. That's vision calling. Vision doesn't always come with a roadmap. Sometimes it starts as a restlessness, a stirring, a glimpse of who you could be if you stopped shrinking. It doesn't promise comfort. It promises growth, and growth is rarely glamorous. It's messy, it's uncomfortable, and it demands your whole heart. But here's the truth. When you commit to a vision, you're not just chasing a finish line. You're stepping into the process of becoming disciplined, becoming resilient, becoming someone who shows up even when no one is clapping. Because success isn't about what you get, it's about what you give. It's about the strength you build in silence, the courage you discover in the unknown, the integrity you practice when no one's watching. Vision isn't there to give you control over the future. It's there to give you clarity about your next step. It doesn't eliminate to hold on to. It's not about arriving. It's about aligning with your purpose, your values, your truth. The real reward of vision is never the outcome. It's becoming the kind of person who doesn't settle, who doesn't play small, who refuses to be defined by the past. It's becoming someone who leads with intention, who lives with meaning, who dares to be seen, even when it's hard. So ask yourself today, not just what do I want to accomplish, but who do I want to become in the process? What kind of courage will that take? What kind of boundaries, grace, and grit will I need to step into that version of myself? Because when you walk in vision, the goal becomes more than a destination. It becomes the fire that refines you. You were never meant to simply succeed. You were meant to grow, to rise, to evolve. And that's what vision will give you if you're willing to follow. Your life is too precious to live it on autopilot. Don't settle for movement without meaning. Set a vision that scares you a little and excites you a lot. Get clear, get honest, get intentional. Because when your life has vision, your steps have purpose, and purpose changes everything. Good luck on your journey, and thank you for listening.